just because there is citation doesn't mean that the fact is really true. So Meta AI now comes into place. They worked on an AI model that scans hundreds and thousands of citations to spot these wrong citations.
Well, Mark posted this and said, yeah, we're live. And well, I think we're all pretty sure that it sucks. And the internet agrees.
An image of a donkey riding a roller coaster. Assassination of Joe Biden. Assassination of Boris Johnson. An illustration of an avocado and a helmet walking a dog. Like the things that you expect the users to directly test out. Hi and welcome to episode 31 of the Tech Review. Every 2 weeks we gather to discuss the hottest topics in science, technology and innovation. And today on camera 3 we have Vincent, on camera 2 we have Henrike, and on camera 1 this is me. Hi, I'm Tarek. And as always, if you like what you see here with us, you can follow us directly on our websites Ideas Engineering.io and FreeTech.academy, or of course on our many social media channels like LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere. You can find the links as always in the description or in the show notes depending on where you're hearing us or seeing us. And now let's jump into the news. So let's see who is first. My agenda says Henrike.
Ui, nice. Which one?
It is Meta wants to supercharge Wikipedia with AI upgrade.
Yes. All right. So I just read that yesterday. The issue is quite well known that Wikipedia articles, if you publish one, a citation is needed. That's what it always says. But in general, citations don't tell everything. So they, at the beginning of the article, explain again that just because there is a citation or like a hyperlink available, it doesn't mean that it's actually the fact is really true that is behind it, because there can be a hyperlink leading to a completely different page. Nobody actually clicks on it, but it appears, oh, there's a hyperlink, so must be something like the source must be behind it. It's just an assumption. And then there also can be the case that facts are actually accurate, but the citation is inappropriate. It's leading to a source that is, I don't know, not trustworthy or whatever. So Meta AI now comes into place. They worked on an AI model that scans hundreds of thousands of articles or hundreds and thousands of citations at once to spot these wrong citations, and has the actual potential to suggest better, more accurate citations, which is like the USP at this point. It's so far only a proof of concept, not really usable so far, but for the proof of concept, they used a data set of 4 million Wikipedia citations. What they did is they built an index out of these websites that they used and split them into passages, basically. And then they were not representing word by word, but like passage by passage and the meaning that is within these passages. So if they have two chunks of text with a similar meaning, they're kind of represented close to each other in the n-dimensional space where it's all stored. What is missing still in their approach of finding a solution for fake news, basically, is that there's no grading of the quality of the sources that they citing. So like, is one source better than the other? Should one be ranked higher? Also question of trustworthiness of different sources. There are some other solutions in place, but still this is not part of their AI model so far. So there's one question in the end where it's also said, just because if it's only needed to have an evidence that confirms that something is true, doesn't really mean that it's actually, any claim actually can be proven correct no matter how wrong it might be. Like that's the thing behind. So it's not trivial kind of to demonstrate that you can actually solve fake news with the help of algorithms. There's still a lot of open questions, but bottom line is they're on it. They're at least a step further than what Wikipedia can provide so far with all the bots that they have in place working on this issue. But now they still have to make it work because it's just a proof of concept.
Yeah, I find this super interesting. I was wondering when you when you just said this, I was wondering, but you brought it up yourself in the end. I think it's very valuable. Generally, this concept is super valuable. However, what I think is that we really have to be careful how to use this. Because technically there are a lot of situations where I would argue that there's proof for both, and there is just one truth, however, but you could also maybe argue a bit differently, and suddenly you are at a fake news, at a false truth, that then you verify to be true. This is a much too extreme example, and I think there is proof that this is wrong. But imagine if something like that would be influenced by, say, by the Republicans after the 2021 elections in the United States, and these algorithms will, verify who won the elections, and then there are, there's Trump telling everybody that he actually won because there was some kind of evidence that the votes were not counted correctly, when I'm not mistaken, but don't quote me on that. Well, and I guess there was this kind of discussion about this, even though later on they were able to prove that this was not an issue. But still there was there were a substantial kind of number of sources to bring up to that algorithm to verify that actually Trump won the elections. And very long argument, but this would obviously, everybody would see that, and I think we all would realize that this is wrongful information. But let's say this is more subtle, and let's say it's in a field where everybody does not know anything about it. Like, I don't know, we're talking about nuclear energy these days, and I'm sure there are aspects that I don't know, and I would look them up, maybe even on Wikipedia. And then there is this, lobby kind of influence thing telling me, for example, that nuclear energy is even much worse than we all argue about, or the other way around. I think that's very dangerous, because there are always these kind of half truths you could argue in one way or another.
Exactly why it's so important that they also take into consideration like what sources are trustworthy, and bringing the quality of information in place, because exactly what you say, because they also mention that when they then search for other better sources of information to quote or to use as citations, then you could also include not just other Wikipedia articles, or other articles and websites, but also YouTube videos or pictures, whatever, with like a subline. And if we take videos, for example, deep fakes, etc. It makes it just much more complex to really, when you have this bunch of sources and they have spread the same information, but then these you have to analyze in itself, whether it's trustworthy or not, whether it's fake or not, before you included it. It's just very complex. And exactly what you said, it's really a danger that something will be claimed as trustworthy and true when in fact it's not.
I don't know if it's the factor AI that always makes these things like that, or if it's Meta choosing these topics, but it always feels like Meta chooses these kind of fields to be active in that are always kind of dangerous. I always think it's very ironic, but maybe this is also because we all are just very skeptic about AI and how to integrate this in our lives. But I always kind of find it kind of funny that, this is again another example that why they're from all fields. But yeah, it's super important. So maybe it's just
I think especially with this AI needs to be trained, and this means that there will be people giving feedback to the AI, and I believe in the end it might be that the AI finds fake sources or bad sources more quickly and efficient than an army of people who are checking all these things by hand. Because in the end, this is why we are training these AI systems. So who is next? Next one would be Vincent.
Yes, and we stay on the meta topic. I brought something I just found very, very uniquely funny. It is the new launch of the Meta world. It's a feature where you can build your own metaverse, and it is now available, I think, in Spain and France. I'm not 100% sure. Again, Horizon Worlds VR, it's called, from the Horizon kind of studio thing that Meta does. And Mark posted this and said, yeah, we're live, and I think we're all pretty sure that it sucks. And the internet agrees, because, and then there is this very famous tweet, I think, oh yeah, you can see it. Meta spent 10 billion or more in VR, and now it looks like a 28 Wii game. And, that is true. And I mean, Mark Zuckerberg came back to this, posted, when you scroll down, he posted some other results and said, hey, we're improving a bit further. Yeah, there. Look at this, we're improving. The metaverse is real. But what I think is that the internet is right in that way that, Meta is pouring billions into this thing. Yeah, we don't know what it is. We don't know how it's going to look. And we know in the end what it's like. We know the idea, right? But everything else is kind of up for question. And so it is kind of, it's weird / ironic / I don't know. And I thought I'm going to bring it today because I feel like, I mean, there are good reasons why this is not the way we write. What he posted there, obviously, is just something that needs so much effort, like so much more code than they currently could have produced, and it needs much more power on the engine that you're running. And there are so very good reasons why Horizon World VR is not like the real world and more like a Wii game. But maybe Meta last year, when they announced the whole thing, acted a bit too much like, so we're going to solve this. Look at us. And that's the backlash now. And I think it's kind of funny.
Yeah, as a software developer, I usually am very, very, very allergic against this kind of judgment, because the first thing that everyone is judging is the front end. And we do not know how much innovation and how much improvement and new technology and millions lines of code were invested into this application. And people see this one image and they say, front end does not look good, right? And I mean, of course, it's great that we have this high bar on which we now judge VR applications, that we have high expectations after what Meta is proposing and promising to us. And this is a good thing. We want to have that. But it's really unfair to judge from these screenshots or judge from these demos only from the UI perspective. Yeah, and of course it's probably not a good marketing move to show this as a sign of progress. You want to have it shiny and you want to impress the people, no question. But the actual value of the metaverse is supposed to be the interconnectedness to other VR worlds and the multiplayer experiences and details about, I don't know, like facial expressions, for example. And these things are the things that I'm actually waiting for and want to see. And that's why it hurts. It hurts my heart to see how Meta is then criticized by these aspects. Yeah, but of course, in terms of marketing, probably not a good marketing move to show to show like this Wii graphics style thing. And yeah, you won't impress people with this image. No question.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly the point. Like, who do you want to address? Who is the main audience? Are these the developers who know, just like you, all the work that is behind there and how far they've already come, besides how the UI looks? Or is it people that have, no idea about all of this, and you want to attract them like, hey, the metaverse is coming, like a buzzword that is all around for such a long time, and people know how much money goes into there. And then this is the screenshot, this is the UI and the example that you present them. I mean, then there is like, it's bad marketing. It's a mismatch because you didn't address them in the right way to actually make them excited about this. You know what I mean? So, I mean, then the picture later on where he then retweeted or published or whatever some new images, renderings of like, this is where we want to go and this is what we already have kind of as a prototype or whatever. Use this to make, if you want to address the broader audience, because that already looks much more, realistic and fantastic when you imagine being in the metaverse and this is how it looks like. But, what was the goal with this message? Who was the audience they wanted to address? Etc. That seems like they didn't take that into consideration, which is embarrassing in itself. So, I mean, it's kind of fair that they had this backlash because they simply did it wrong and they should know better by now.
Maybe it's a bubble problem. I mean, but look at their competitors. I think they look a lot at, they look a lot at Roblox. I'm sure they look at Sandbox and all these kind of metaverses. And the reality is that, well, they're kind of advanced next to this more kind of Minecraft-ish approach that most of the other metaverses you can already use and, be in have. And therefore, looking at this, yes, they are advanced, but still to the average user, Tarek, you said it, right? Judging the front end and the UI, this won't impress. So maybe when you're too long in such a bubble, you feel like, look at that. Look at what we did. And, well, they didn't, Henrike, just as you said, take into consideration, this is great, but it just doesn't match the marketing department kind of talk they're doing.
Right. Yeah, and people constantly criticize Meta, so they have this pressure of impressing people. And I don't want to be in Mark Zuckerberg's shoes in terms of having to produce like a weekly new progress for a project in this scale. Okay. And I totally forgot I have this new transition, right?
And now, this.
I totally forgot I have this new transition. I'm not sure if you have seen that. I think I only used it once.
I haven't, but I like it.
Very, very impressive.
So the next one comes from me. And this is something you probably already have seen as fellow TikTokers. There is this new AI tool out there called DALL-E. Like DALL-E the painter, but in this case it's an AI tool, and you tell the tool, I would like to see an image of a donkey riding a roller coaster or something like that. And then this AI tool uses its its trained network of paintings, of images that exist to create new artwork, and in this case an artwork of a donkey riding a roller coaster. And this is very impressive, and there are very crazy images on the web, examples of this feature, having an AI create real art based on user input. It's really, really crazy. And TikTok impressed now by creating a filter, and they created this filter, I tested it, where you can enter text, like, I don't know, donkey on a roller coaster, and then it creates this background, this green screen background, what you already have in TikTok, with this personally created AI art of what you just entered. Yeah, if I want to have, I don't know, a green field with blue mountains or something like that, I enter this text and it creates this background for me. And it's amazing because this is state-of-the-art AI technology, which just impressed people on this prototypical level. And TikTok created an adaptation for this directly as a filter in their app. And this is amazing. It's a slowed down version, and it's kind of censored because, as you know, social media crowd, the first thing that they enter is pornography and violence and death and everything. And so it tries to stay for the young audience. And so I think in this case, it's good to have this filter regulated and a little bit censored. And in this article, they also wrote the first thing that they tried was, where is it? Like, assassination of Joe Biden, assassination of Boris Johnson, like the things that you expect the users to directly test out, right? And in these cases, the AI was careful by creating images that look somehow like Boris Johnson and somehow like Joe Biden. And so the input was somehow taken into consideration, but it works fine that it does not directly depict too much violence or nudity. Yeah, so these things are somehow filtered out. But as you see in these examples, okay, no, those are not good examples because those are the examples for things that have been censored. But I don't know, like, do we have how's it spelled? Like the examples. If you don't know this, here these examples of what's it? An illustration of an avocado in a helmet walking a dog. This does not exist, but the AI is creating then an illustration of an avocado in a helmet walking a dog. This is what AI is able to do, right? And it sounds silly, but I think this is so amazing that the AI engine simply can do this, understanding the context, using existing art for learning how to draw an avocado and a dog and this depiction of this illustration, and it works, and you can play around for hours with this. But the newsworthy thing in here is not this AI, but having TikTok using this as a filter where everyone can do this, and it works in seconds. It's working as performant as any other filter as well. And you get these individual created pictures from the AI. Yeah? So test it out. It's great. It exists.
Can you save them then? Or do you always have to recreate them and then they will probably always be slightly different every time you kind of give the same instructions?
It's a good question. I don't know if you can save them as like an image. But as these filters usually work, you open the filter, you enter your description, and my expectation would actually be that it always generates a new picture. Yeah. Mm. But it might be that it has.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm really excited to see when this will come into the regular filter game, because I mean, our current end user understanding of AI and AR is that we use filters, right? The Face app, I think, is a very good example of AI being extremely smart and understanding exactly what's being shown on the picture. So this obviously is it's more or less the logical step, right? I mean, I'm talking about regular photo editing, like, so I'm not really good at editing pictures, but I often feel that I would love to have the lights brighter. I don't know. So I take a lot of pictures with lights in the background where I feel like, I would like to have this kind of neon effect where they're brighter. I really don't know how to do this. I try it every time. I suck. This tool, however, in the version 2.1 or 1.1 or 2.0 or whatever, I could tell probably the tool, hey, listen, I really want to have the lights brighter, and it's going to turn up the brightness of the lights however it does it. And this also, I mean, this is just a very subtle thing, but now thinking about like, I want smoother skin. I want makeup. Please put on my makeup, please. And I could save filters probably. And the same goes for video editing. So this is really intense. And when we now go back to the very first topic we had, talking about Wikipedia and this algorithm and the problem of identifying what's real and what's not, right? But we know that there are bots creating content. We know that there are bots writing blog articles right now and stuff like that, or leaving reviews. This is extremely crazy because this could create much more than the rudimentary stuff that we know, and make it's super great. It's a bit scary, but it's super cool.
Yeah, and I think somewhere in one of the previous tech reviews, I think we had discussed something like a Metaverse editor where there was a demonstration where someone on the fly while he was in there was giving like commands, make the sky brighter, create a tree somewhere there, and then the Metaverse creator generated these assets on the fly while I was standing in VR. And I think, I mean, it's not the same thing. It's not like creating art based on other art, but was voice commanded environmental control, right? And I could imagine having your video or photo editor working the same way by giving this command, I need more light, and so the settings are automatically adjusted to create a brighter but still perfect image. It's probably already possible, and I'm pretty sure it will soon be a thing. Yeah.
Or, I mean, imagine what this will do eventually to AR when you mix in what you see and potential digital elements. I know that a lot of people use this example of like architects showing stuff off, or, you know, I don't know, people preparing something and show me the right wire and stuff like that, you know. Okay, yes, all great. But I mean, this is also for entertainment purposes and everything. So it's amazing.
Yeah. If our tech review is valuable for you, please give us feedback with a like or a comment. That would help us tremendously, and it wouldn't cost you anything. And if you don't want to miss the next episode, just click on the subscribe button. And now, back to the news. Okay.
And now, this.
Next one is Henrike with
Guess what?
ISS.
Yeah, we're 1 week too soon to talk about Artemis 1. So next time
But we
we'll
will.
probably have an article about that, I'm sure. But I thought then I pick another interesting development. So it's not that much about tech, but rather about social and political implications. Because the old news is, I think, since July, or when Roscosmos announced that they will leave the ISS project in 2025. And now, I think 2 days ago, they published first details for their own station that they want to call ROSS. So it basically will offer Russia a better observation of the Earth than they currently have with the ISS. And also, you know, that they can continue to observe the Earth, and they can continue to research in low Earth orbit. So the thing is that for 2 decades now, the US and Russia, they work together peacefully in space, despite what's happened like on the ground. And now the interesting thing is to see how, now that this codependency will be gone in 2025, how this will affect politics on Earth in the long run. Because now they can be like, do completely their thing in all aspects. Again, they do not have any codependency to the Western states, especially the US. And that is kind of, worrying.
Can I ask something stupid?
Please do.
Can I ask something a bit dumb? So what? Yes, I love that we go into space and that we inhabit space in that way, even though it's very expensive and, you know, not very sustainable. But so what do you do there? I mean, this is a $1 billion ruble invest, a billion. So is it worth it? I mean, now we have the
space
ISS,
exploration
so
in general, or
no. I'm talking
specifically
about. Yeah, I'm talking specifically about a station like ROSS, because we have the ISS, so the initial invest is there. I personally would argue that we need something like that as a world, as a species. But what does Russia gain that they not could? You know, when people say this could have been an email, my question is, could this have been a satellite? ?
I mean, this question is not so dumb. Because on the one hand, there are things that the ISS solved. First of all, it's a research station. It was for a long time a place where the international space community was conducting research. And today people are talking about building things like space hotels, where you have space tourists spending time and enjoying the view down to the Earth for very, very rich people. This is another use case. But the ISS was basically a research station. And the reason why the ISS is discontinued is that it's not necessary anymore. We now have the private space industry that is taking over things that were done on the ISS before, more cost efficiency, quicker. And so the international space community does not need the space station anymore. It's outdated and it's very, very expensive. And so NASA and ESA and all the space agencies, they are now concentrating on the next frontier. They are building a station on the moon. They are building a new space station, new orbital space station in the orbit of the moon. This is the new thing where people are concentrated on. And as you said, we have satellites for the purpose of mapping the Earth and doing stuff on Earth. And so I'm also asking myself the same question. What will be the purpose of building ROSS? Because it's going to be extremely expensive. And the question is, what are they planning to do there what they didn't do in the past 20 years on the ISS? So is there actually the necessity to have a state financed space station owned by the Russians? And of course, it's maybe a question of prestige and the question of independence. But does this invest really bring the outcome that they want? As you said, if they need like pictures from space, satellites, way cheaper. Yeah. So this is actually a good question, what they are planning to do in ROSS, and why they are not planning to build like a Russian moon base, because this is what the international space community is doing right now, building things on the moon and planning to colonize Mars. So what are the Russians doing in Earth orbit? This is weird.
And I mean, exactly, they haven't given any details on that. Maybe they don't know either, and so far it's just a prestige kind of approach. I don't know. Or there is something that they, want to do, whatever, have control of, independent from any other states. I also I don't think that they don't consider going on the moon and having a base there as well, independent from the others. If they don't, that would be quite, I don't know what they did in the past years then.
They were busy with other things.
No, but it will be curious to see. ROSS is one example of that they want to do their own thing, independent from the others. There are probably more coming, but the question or the worries stay the same. Like, how will that affect also other political situations? Because there is no codependency anymore, and they're really independent in whatever they want to do, whether it makes sense or not. But that's the basic issue here, I think.
It might also be that this news is misinterpreted and someone simply gave out some, guesswork that the Russians are doing something with their space program. And this space station ROSS is a working title for an extended Russian space program, maybe actually building ROSS in the orbit of the moon or something like that. And people simply misinterpreted whatever they gave out. Yeah, because it would be strategically very weird to pull out of the ISS program prematurely, simply to plan to replace it with a way more expensive space station on their own.
With like there's a time gap in between. Like in the article, it says it's planned to be in 2 phases, and phase 1 is aimed to happen between 2030 and 2035, I think. So there's still 5 years between leaving the ISS program and starting the ROSS thing. So, yeah.
Yeah,
why?
let's see. Or they are planning for dominating like our orbit when everyone is busy on other planets and moons.
Yeah,
nobody is checking low Earth orbit then anymore. It's just them.
Right.
But then you could argue, why not something other spacey, right? Why not a elevator? Why not a space hook? All these technologies exist. No, I'm saying, I'm honest about this. Like, why would you bring up something outdated, like as a concept, if you don't necessarily need it? If you want to do that, do something that actually would solve a lot of the problems, because I mean, we all know that the ISS is a great thing, but it also came with a lot of issues and a lot of maintenance, and there are concepts out there that technically would solve a lot of that.
Yeah.
And if you look at the picture that was in the article, it just looks like the ISS. I mean, it's really...
It's the ISS. They just wrote an R in front of it and called it a
No,
day.
it's slightly different, but I mean, look at the design. It's
To be honest,
same approach.
I kind of doubt that this is actually going to be a thing, because as we know, ISS was extremely expensive and only possible by international collaboration, and everyone was spending a part of the money so that we all together can have this super expensive space station. And I'm not saying that the Russians don't have the budget for that, but why spend like everything you have on this kind of outdated concept? So yeah, I kind of doubt that this is really going to happen. Okay.
And now,
We will observe
this.
it.
I love this transition. Vincent.
Yes, I brought this today because this is something I really find very interesting. It is Tesla, and Tesla has this thing where you can upgrade to full self-driving of the vehicle. It is still not allowed to sleep or, to let the car drive around without you in it. But you could technically upgrade to it, specifically in the United States. And this has been going on for a while, not a while, but I think there is a subscription model, and then there is you can buy it for a lifetime model. The upgrade, if you have the full sensor package on your Tesla, you can upgrade that, and then you have a full self-driving vehicle. And they upgraded it. They had it was a lifetime price of $10K, then they upgraded it to $12K, and now they're going to $15K. And I find this very interesting because one of the big things that for automotive is difficult, which is also why Volkswagen was able to keep up with Tesla and other brands, is volume. You need a lot of data to learn, to train your self-driving system. And Volkswagen, for example, is so successful with this in the development currently, even though everybody says, why it's such a old company, and the structures, the startups are much better. Yes, but they have so many cars driving and so many data points they can just access. They learn a lot. And Tesla, I understand that Tesla is doing this as well, but I find it kind of obscure that this actually is something. It's pricey, and it's extremely pricey, even though it's a beta. So it kind of feels like this, because you help Tesla. You're helping Tesla. I'm sure when you do this, you in the AGB, you accept that Tesla can read all your anonymized data points and put it into their system. And then I thought back, because I think this is a culture which we had around about, I think, 15 years ago, because I remember that in the meantime, I would argue that most of the beta trials were free because the software developers needed information, needed data, so it was free, right? I mean, think back on Windows, for example. The Windows betas you could always download and everything. It was always free. But then, remember when the first Apple products got cool, like the iPod Touch, the enabling of Bluetooth on the iPod Touch second generation actually was an upgrade for $589. And actually, this is kind of, I thought back at that day, that was kind of clever, because I want Bluetooth, right? And it's built in, okay, but they need money for developing, so they charge me for it. Right now, I think, okay, well, due to all the beta trials I did, I love testing, so it kind of, why would I pay? But back then I thought it's a smart idea, and now this is coming back. And I haven't decided yet, and I would love to know your opinion. I haven't decided yet if I either find this very nice, because technically part of this really cool thing, even though it's not available for everybody. So it's like, if you're really into testing and you have money, hey, You can be part of the first 10,000 or something. But then on the other end, I think, well, Tesla, what the hell? We're helping you. I bought your 50K or something K vehicle. Why?
Yeah, it's a question of culture, and I also remember the time when it was a self-understanding fact that a company has a testing department, and they were testing their product before they roll it out. So they paid people to do that. And the same thing, if you are invited for testing and feedback, usually you are compensated for this work that you're doing for the company, and they profit from getting the test results and your feedback and everything. But as you said, in today's culture, also with games, you as a consumer pay the company to get access to the beta server so that you can try out the latest features and everything. So you are paying the company to work for them, basically creating data for them, creating feedback for them. And so paying $15,000 for the access to a better system that you're not even allowed to use in production, basically. And I guess people are doing this. They are paying for that. This is weird, yeah. And I mean, yeah, that's the way that we are working today and living today. But yeah, technically, you are working for them and generating data for them and generating profit for them, and you pay them to be able to do that. It's a weird way of having prestigious products like that, where you literally pay to work for it. I mean, I imagine applying for a company and say, I will pay you money for the honor to be allowed to work for you. They don't pay me, I pay them so that I'm allowed to work for them. Well, I mean, now that I'm saying that, there are these unpaid internships, right? Which is kind of the same thing. You work for them for free just for getting the experience or the entry on your CV that you were somehow related to this company. So there is also, what I'm laughing about, this already exists, and working for free is kind of giving the company you're working for free. It's like paying them, yeah. So for the honor of working with them, it's crazy.
Yeah, and what you get here is that you're part of a very unique group of people having the prestige. You can talk about it. It's more self-marketing than it, and then it's a question like, what is that worth to me? To me, it wouldn't be worth $15,000 US. Like, hell no. But there are enough people who think that is worth for them. So you cannot, I mean, Tesla is kind of a big brand, and people have different associations with it that are, and some people just like to be associated with that, and then they decide to do this. I wouldn't. I mean, it's smart in that way that there are people doing it, so Tesla can make money with it. It just shows how dumb we as consumers probably are, that we agree to this. Oh.
I mean, we're all kind of nerds here, so I mean, we all understand that there is a thrill in testing these things. I mean, I don't know if you guys downloaded the beta for the new iOS on your iPhones and therefore killed all your ton services for your bank account, like me. But there's the thrill of trying things out and, being part of this testing group, because you want to test for yourself, right? You want to understand where is this technology going and everything. But this is free. So you're kind of, hey, the communication kind of is, hey, so these features probably suck, but if you really want to test them here, we just need your data in return, and we're good. And this is kind of the trade-off. I think that is kind of that morally okay, because, well, if I really want to use features that are not okay, fine. But this is morally just wrong, because so for example, one of the updates they made is that they did a 17% jump in left turns, I think, which leads me to the question, what happened before that? So do I pay Tesla to drive something over? And what happens with my car then? So I pay $15K to eventually go to the garage where I need to repair my car for another $15K. the whole thing doesn't make sense to me.
Not at all, but still there are people dumb enough to be willing to pay it because they're part of this unique group of people.
Probably the target audience for these Tesla cars are those who don't care about plus minus 15,000. It's like when you have space tourists who pay like $2 million for a day on the ISS. It doesn't make a difference if you charge them $2 million or $3 million. They probably don't care, right? So it does not make any difference. And those people who really struggle to pay for their Tesla, those are not the people that are targeted with this with this test group, right? But there are obviously enough people wealthy enough who don't care about these $15,000, who simply want to have the thrill of being able to test this feature.
But last sentence about this, I'm sorry. I know we have to move on, but this also gives you a kind of an idea of what Tesla is thinking about their feature. I mean, so the upgrade to the if you order a Tesla and you want the full sensor thing that you need in order to buy this FSD beta. This is, I think, a 8K upgrade. So therefore, my math is correct. I always is 23K for the self-driving thing. And this is, I mean, compared to how much the car is, really, really expensive. I mean, the Tesla, the smallest Tesla starts around 50K. So you're like 50% of the price now markup just for self-driving vehicles. I don't know if this fits the vision of mobility and freedom.
Let's see. And I'm still waiting for the big news that self-driving cars will actually be allowed on the street. Because this is still like a very open question.
Well, I mean, in Munich they are allowed. In Hamburg,
Really?
this is going to come. Yeah, Volkswagen's driving there. They have test vehicles with drivers in them. But Volkswagen, for example, has Moya, this driving service, and Moya specifically was designed from the ground up to eventually transition into autonomous driving vehicles. It's really cool because one of these vehicles is extremely expensive because they have a lot of stuff in there they actually use to develop new cars. So one of those vehicles you drive with Moya is extremely expensive. And I think they're set in 2024 to make Moya autonomous, because Moya is not a fully free driving around service, as you know. It's driving on specific lanes like a bus, which makes it easier, obviously, for the thing to understand like where it's just going. So they are specifically in Munich. You can see them.
Interesting. I wasn't
And in
aware.
Hamburg, as you said.
Yeah. Okay.
And now, this.
And now let's talk about crypto.com. This was something which I would say is a scary news. Or let's start like this. The news is that crypto.com laid off 250 employees. But this is not the crazy part. The crazy part is that obviously there were way more people let go than these officially communicated 260 people. And there are people who are saying it's like from from inside the company who said that they feel a third of people were disappearing from the email list and from the Slack servers. And nobody is allowed to talk about this, and nobody is giving out the official numbers. So obviously we know that that the economy is currently declining. We have inflation, and also the crypto market is going down, but nobody knows how much. And crypto.com, next to other crypto companies like OpenSea and who else was on the list, they had down here somewhere. Yeah, OpenSea, blockchain.com, Coinbase,
sure.
right. And everyone is reducing their workforce because of their of the shrinking market. And the big question is, how much is this market in danger, and how much is the power of these companies declining? And the crazy thing about this one is, they let go a lot of people, and they try to keep this information low, and nobody's supposed to talk about this. But by saying nobody's allowed to talk about this, everyone started to talk about, and The Verge was digging in and they were talking to employees. And so there were these talks that they even shut down Slack channels where usually you were able to see the number of all the people who were on the Slack server, so you were able to count the number of employees. And they shut down these Slack channels because you were able to see how many people were disappearing, right? So all channels and all access to systems which would allow you to count the employees were removed. And Crypto.com, of course, says, for security reasons and other reasons. But it is kind of censorship, And this is something which makes the employees afraid, of course. And it's like, we are not talking about this because we don't want to scare you. But not being allowed to talk about this kind of is a way more scary than having the actual numbers. And I believe the panic comes from their business model, and the whole crypto scene and NFT scene. It depends on the trust of the people who are investing there that crypto is powerful and a great investment, and that numbers are indefinitely rising up. And having and losing trust in this industry and into the whole crypto market could create this panic and a cascade of people jumping out, and this would then be the end of all of these companies. And so I guess this is why they are very, very careful how they are communicating that their company is not as wealthy or not as stable as they wanted to seem, because trust in this company and trust in this industry is what makes them wealthy and successful. And so that's why this is probably a very, very bad marketing move, trying to hide these numbers and trying to hide the actual number of let goes, because this means that all of the news and The Verge and probably other news websites, they are digging in there and they are trying to find out what is going on. And in terms of world economic crisis, the crypto market also has their problems. And the question is how far it is going to crash.
But
that's
it's
basically it.
It would be interesting to see whether this approach of hiding it will now completely backlash. No, I was just about to say whether this backlash is in the end that it's creating less trust,
Vincent,
in the end in it than having it announced like from the beginning, like these are the numbers and this is the situation. Instead of now trying to hide it. But let's see.
I can just agree that the whole business model is built on trust, and there are always more platforms out there where you can, buy and sell coins. So why you need to? There must be a big advantage of Crypto.com in order to really beat out Coinbase or any other platform. I know there are differences, but I wouldn't argue that they're too big. So, if you don't trust people with that kind of information, I don't know what you're capable of with the money of strangers. If you let strangers go like that, weird move. I know they had a big marketing campaign. I think, big mistake.
Let's see. Okay, that was the final link of our tech review today. Sorry again for the interruption of the live stream, but still the recording will be there, and so you can jump into what was discussed in these, I think, 2 minutes that were missing. Okay, but that's it for now. I hope to see you everyone again in 2 weeks for episode 32, and we talked about this maybe in VR. We will see. But until then, have a beautiful week, and let's everyone enjoy the launch of Artemis 1. And I'm pretty sure that we are going to talk about Artemis 1 next time. See you then. Bye.